Thanks, Matlamola. Afternoon all. I think, we're probably giving you news that you already have, but we thought that it's important to deal with it more in an official basis. The technical committee had deliberated over the last couple of days, 2 weeks or so. They then presented a name to the National Executive Committee on Saturday, the 31st of August. And the Executive Committee unanimously endorsed the name of Molefi Ntseki to take over as the head coach for Bafana Bafana. So obviously we know there's going to be 1,000,001 of your questions that will come through. We'll try and preempt some of them anyway. The coach, as far as the technical committee is concerned, they went through various criteria. They believed that Ntseki covered those aspects from a coaching perspective. Their responsibility was looking at somebody who could take South Africa through the next few years and also deal with it on the basis of understanding Vision 2022, understanding where South Africa comes from, where they are, and where we're heading towards, understanding the fact that we have had major success, unprecedented success in our youth structures over the last few months, probably the last 18 months, with the under-17 girls qualifying for the World Cup in Uruguay. Just previous to that was the under-17 boys had gone to Chile, the under-20 boys with back-to-back World Cups for them, Banyana's own World Cup access there, and together with Bafana Bafana qualifying for AFCON. And somebody like Ntseki himself has had a lot to do with many of those teams and the success one way or the other. Many of you may or may not know that, but that's the way he has. The other aspect in terms of where we're heading with him, he's got a big role to play now this coming week. So we are asking him to focus on that, to deal with the Zambia game, and then we will sit down and finalize the issues. But from a SAFA perspective, he's well aware of it. Our objective is that we need to qualify for AFCON 2021, we need to qualify for the World Cup 2022, and again for AFCON 2023. Those are the targets that are set within a South African environment, and how we factor that in with the discussions with him we'll take forward when he gets back from Zambia next week. So I think just from our perspective as well, just to officially welcome him to that role, albeit that he's been in the hot seat since Saturday. We just want to welcome you and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Very happy to get a green jersey. We all know and understand what green means. It projects a very positive future. And I'm happy that I got a green one today. And the future looks very green. With regard to my appointment, I think it has been a very long journey of 21 years in formal coaching, wherein I started in 1999 after going through an operation. I know it's an old talk of saying, how did you get into coaching? I got injured, and then I went for an operation, then I ended up playing. So I would say when it comes to that scratch record of how I got into coaching, that's how I started in 1998. I was coaching a Vodacom League team then, and then I got promoted to First Division, and that's how I started coaching. I think in 1998 I did not have any qualification, and what makes 1998 to be such a good year for me is because I managed to win the Vodacom League and then to get the team into First Division. And then from there, I stayed with the First Division team as head coach for 2 years before I started Harmony Sports Academy. Harmony Sports Academy, I stayed for 5 years. And then 2007, I left Harmony to join African Warriors, which was playing in the First Division in Koko. I stayed with Warriors for 2 seasons. I remember those years we used to have 2 streams, and it was very tough because you had to play 21 games, 7 each round. And the relegation was like 2 teams to be relegated from each stream. So it was a very difficult one. But through the guidance of the people I was working with, I managed to survive. And then 2009, I was part of the under-20 team that went to the World Cup as an assistant coach to Coach Sarame. And that's how I started involving myself or getting involved with SAFA structures. Coming back from under-20 World Cup, I became an assistant to Coach Solulu Vengo, under-20, Cabo Zondo, under-20, Shakes Mashaba, under-23. So then 2010, I joined Celtic as an assistant coach to Clinton Larsen. In the Premier League, I stayed with Clinton Larsen for 2 years. Then I went back to development as head of development at Celtic. And then I was there for 2 years. And then I applied for under-17 head coach job. And that's how everything started. 2014, I started at SAFA as under-17 head coach. We qualified for AFCON, we qualified for the World Cup. And my involvement has been with all the teams, whether a ladies team, whether a girls team, whether a boys team, whether a men's team. That is the opportunity I was granted by SAFA to get involved with all the teams, of which I really appreciate, because it was a learning process. At the same time, I was getting matured, getting knowledge, and becoming a better person. And then Bafana Bafana, opportunity came in to work as assistant coach to Coach Shakes Mashaba and Coach Owende Gama, and lastly, Coach Stuart Baxter. And I think I've learned so much from my predecessors. And that is why today I can proudly say they were the best mentors I've worked with. Coming into the position I am in as of now, I really want to thank the association, South African Football Association, the president, the National Executive Committee, the technical committee, the CEO, and all the coaches that I've worked with before. It's not going to be easy, but all that is important, it is the rapport that I've established with PSL coaches to keep in touch and to be able to help each other. And the best thing that we can do to our football is to profile all players that qualifies to play in the Bafana Bafana team. And that is what we call auditing of players. And I think we started that with Coach Stuart. And when he left, I had all the information, all the database that is needed. And going forward, we want to have a video analyst who will be helping us with the profiling of players, so that whenever we have a challenge when it comes to team selection, we can always tap into that database. We'll be able to know how many games, how many minutes Kigan Doli has played for his club in terms of his injuries. And if he's not playing, why is he not playing? Because in most cases, we tend to call up names without having a better knowledge of the process and the progression of that player wherever he's playing. And lastly, for me, talking to the PSL coaches, I think it will be very important taking our football forward if we can have a scouting team, if we can have a selection team. We have seen it happening with cricket, we have seen it happening with rugby. Recently, the rugby team was announced and everybody was behind the team, everybody was in support of the team. By the way, let me take this opportunity to wish the Springboks all the best of luck in the World Cup. And we are all saying the Springboks will do well with the support of all South Africans. Go Boke, go Boke. Thank you.
In terms of the training program?
We reported for camp yesterday, and when we started, all local players reported for camp, except for those who got injured. When Thapelo Morena was playing a Champions League match against Otto, he got injured. He got a grade 1 groin injury. It's just that I don't have a dog to be with me, because I might give wrong information about injuries. The terminology is very difficult for one to understand. Then he got injured. We replaced Thapelo Morena with Lucky Boy Mokoena from Highlands Park, who has been doing very well at right back for Highlands Park for the past season. So we felt he deserves an opportunity to be in the Bafana Bafana team. Unfortunately for us, Lucky Boy also got injured on Saturday against Polokwane City. He had to be pulled out, and he reported for camp for assessment. And unfortunately for him, he is out of the team. We can't have him for this camp. He's injured. And then we are looking at bringing in another, I would say, defender to fill in the void left by Lucky and Morena. So we are currently talking to the club. I think he will be announced before the end of the day today. I can't give the name because the club will be saying we haven't received any call-up letter for this particular player. So we respect that space. We will be able to tell, hopefully when we come back from training. And then we have a session this afternoon. Lebu Mutiba, Lebu Piri will be coming tomorrow, and Bongani Zungu. As for the rest of the guys, they are here and they are in good shape. We are looking forward to have our region session this afternoon because most of them played over the weekend, and Sundowns versus Supersport played yesterday. So the medical team has advised us to have a region session this afternoon. And then we'll start with our fully fledged sessions tomorrow. 2 sessions tomorrow at Stein City. And then we are looking at playing a friendly against a first division team on Wednesday so that we can have a look at the systems and formations that we want to deploy on Saturday against Zambia. We leave for Zambia on Thursday in the evening. We play on Saturday, we come back on Sunday. Hopefully, we will go out there and do well because an international friendly, it doesn't become as friendly as one would like it to be. It's a game, it's a preparation. Players will be having a go at the game, and we are expecting a very tough match against Zambia in Zambia. Thank you.
The technical team?
Yeah, the technical team, very difficult one because we should all remember that I was appointed interim coach on the 3rd of August, and it was on Saturday, the 31st of August, where I got an appointment call to say you are now the official head coach of Bafana Bafana. So whatever we're working on, it was based on that interim position. So we have brought in knowledgeable people that I feel will be of help to carry Bafana Bafana to the next level, or to take Bafana Bafana to the next level. I felt, like I said, I don't believe it's all about me. I believe it's all about a collective. That is why I've started engaging the PSL coaches. I felt we need to have a scouting team and then a selection team. So I have asked the Sundowns to release Coach Stuart Baxter, who will be coming in as a technical advisor, who will be coming in as a mentor because of his vast experience in national teams. And I've got a very good relationship with him as a legend of the game, as a coach. So Coach Stuart Baxter is coming in to be with the team, to be a voice of reason in the team, somebody that we can consult with, somebody that we can share and manage our players better. So Stuart Baxter will be coming in as a technical advisor in the team. Then Coach Athazwani, who has been around for years. I've worked with him since I started at SAFA. He has gone through the coaching courses. He has been on the bench for Kaizer Chiefs. He played for Bafana Bafana also. And I always look at him as one of the hard-working coaches in the country. So I felt here is an opportunity for me to work with him and see how best we can bring about the best in our players. So the goalkeeper coach will remain as Coach Andrea Rense, that we have worked with under Coach Stuart. KB Rangwaha is coming back into the team as fitness trainer. because our fitness trainer, Joshua Smith, has got a position at Amazulu that doesn't allow him to leave the high performance center. So we felt with the experience of KB, having achieved so much as a fitness trainer, he will be an added advantage to the team in terms of our periodization and team preparation. Selection committee can be my technical team, because all that is important is the profiling of players. We should not be scratching our head when you're about to announce the team. We should be having all the players profiled accordingly. And I think the head coach will always be at the head of everything. And in this case, I think the decision will always come with the head coach. But all that is important, and all that I'm thinking of, is that if you select players based on the opponents you are to play. You select players based on the formation that you're going to play, because the formation will be the one to dictate to you to say what type of players you want to have. The players will also dictate what type of formation you have to play against a particular team, in this case against a particular country. So it is not going to be something very difficult to have a few heads together when you have to select the team, because with that meeting before we select the team, we'll also be discussing or profiling the opponents, and also be saying this formation will be working for us based on the profiling of the opponents. So I think when it comes to the selection committee, it is not going to be a very big committee where you're going to end up maybe having too many disagreements. But a smaller group will be very important for us.
Yeah, that group is also expanded to all the other teams as well. So they're not only just looking at Bafana Bafana, but it's looking at the under-20s, under-23s, under-17s, both male and female. And I think, as the coaches earlier indicated, it's about looking at the profiles of those players rather than just knowing there's a name. It's to be able to understand what this player has been doing, what he or she has been doing over the period of time. And this is not just dealing with abroad. This is looking at, even from the PSL perspective, National Soccer League, NFD, ABC Motsepe, and then also the provincial tournaments, because those tournaments give rise to the players that are playing at the junior ranks in that perspective, and then eventually end up at Bafana Bafana.
All right. No, I don't want to become a cheater. You should not correct me if I'm becoming one. When it comes to the scouting, look, I have been doing it for Coach Stuart. I've been doing it for Bafana Bafana. And whenever I was with the Banyana team, or the under-17 team of the under-17 team boys, under-17 team girls, the under-20 boys, the under-20 girls, this is what I've been doing. We have got a selection criteria that has been designed, that we are working on, because it is important also, when you do the profiling, you should also be able to say, what are the areas that we need to improve in this particular player? If this particular player comes to camp, what are the areas that we need to work on? So that's exactly how the whole selection is going to be done. The committee will be a committee or a group of men and women who understand player profiling, who understand player monitoring, because it is also about monitoring our players. It is not only about selecting our players, but it's also about monitoring. Because we had a player playing for Preston last week. They played against Aston Villa, Buckhazen. We did not know about that player. But on the day when we watched him, I started profiling him. I started looking at him to say, if ever we have to bring him into Bafana Bafana, which areas are we going to work on? How best are we going to help him? How best can he work for us? But if ever you get from the media to say there is a player playing for Preston, you need to call him up for the national team, and you don't know anything about him, it is always difficult.
Well, I think the technical committee had sat down, they done their homework, and they put it together. I mean, we did give them an objective. I think we said this in the media right from the word go. On the day that Coach Stuart Baxter resigned, we said that our target was the end of the month, and we kept our promise, 31st of August. even though we said it could be challenging. If we had to go and negotiate with other clubs. This occasion we didn't have to negotiate with any other club. So it was easy to deal with it in terms of the criteria. It was still a difficult process, but easy in terms of the criteria.
Yeah, I think in the 21 years that I've been coaching, you learn over time because you come across different type of players. And I think what really helped me is to come to the national team under 17. You bring them into camp, they don't know anything about international football. But the most important thing is that you need to blood them in with that understanding to say you are now in the national team. You have a player from Cape Town who will behave differently from a player from Limpopo. You'll have a player from Northern Cape who's different from a player from Gauteng. So these are the things that were actually helping me to learn to know more about South African players, because we are having players coming from different backgrounds, and we are having players who have never been involved in coaching, formal coaching. So coming into Bafana Bafana, my experiences with the under-20s really helped, because you have this notion with South Africans to say, give them the freedom to express themselves. But the freedom to express themselves must be structured. What is that expression all about? It's an expression to get us results. It's an expression to make everybody happy. And when they leave the stadium, they are very unhappy because they not win a game. So when it comes to Coach Shakes and Coach Stuart, I think Coach Shakes also with his background, he did very well because he ended up becoming a coach who was playing for results. And we saw him winning very important matches. And also with Coach Stuart, like you say, he's very structured. We had a South African coach with a South African background. We had an European coach with a European background, but who have been in the country to learn to understand South African players. So I think that combination really came out very, very handy for South African players. Because I was saying to some of our players when we were in Egypt, I said, the problem with South African players, they want all the coaches to understand them, but they are not prepared to understand those coaches. Understanding your coach is not like knowing his name and his surname. It's about understanding that how he wants things to be done. If coach wants you to apply immediate pressure after losing the ball, it is not punishment. It's because it is what is happening currently in football. Because applying immediate pressure on the ball, it means you don't give them space and time to go in attack. So some players will be saying, wherever I come from, after losing possession, I've got Tyson and them to defend for me. But in this case, it doesn't work out that way. So I think they are both good coaches in terms of team management, in terms of planning for their games. But when it comes to Coach Stuart, he appeared to be more detailed when it comes to analysis of his team and analysis of the individual players in his team. And when it comes to opponents, he will always plan very well in terms of playing against a particular opponent. So I think the modern way of coaching with Coach Stuart, it was well applied. And with me, the two coaches, fortunately, I'm a South African, and fortunately, I've worked with a European coach who has got a very vast experience coaching. Yeah, when I got the call the first time, I think I behaved the same way the second time. I smiled.
I couldn't see him smiling, by the way.
I smiled when I was about to celebrate, then reality crept in to say, now you are in charge, now it's a responsibility and opportunity. You need to go out there and do your best. And you need to understand that you are carrying the whole nation. And if you look at what happened to your predecessors, it means you should have a way of understanding the environment even before you can start operating within the environment. So I think it was a very good feeling for me to get this opportunity to coach Bafana Bafana at this level. But when it comes to everybody has got a right to his or to her opinion. At times you have an opinion about somebody because you don't know that person. At times you have an opinion about somebody because you think you know that person. But all that is important is an opportunity that has been given to me. I'm not in this position to prove anybody wrong, but I'm in this position to serve my country, to do the best that I can. And I think I'm in this position to get the best out of our players, whom I think with that understanding, with that rapport, they will get the best out of me. Yeah, look, when you become an assistant coach to Clinton Larsen in 2010 in the PSL, we were brought into the boardroom, and the boss of Bloemfontein Celtic then, Jimmy Agosti, said, "You guys, I'm going to be disappointed in you if you relegate my team." So it was about us not relegating the team. But at the end of the first year and the second year, we got position 5, position 6. And if even in this position, we have coaches who have failed to qualify for the World Cup. And I think let us give each other an opportunity and a chance, because I don't think in failing to qualify for the World Cup in so many years, the reasons were the same today, going into the qualifiers. So we are so positive, and we believe in our abilities to say we will do our best to qualify for the World Cup. And the other thing which is very important when it comes to qualifying for the World Cup, it is the FIFA rankings and the CAF rankings. If we do well as a country as of now, it means qualifying for the World Cup will be seeded, and we'll be avoiding certain countries that appears to be a big hurdle to overcome as South Africa. So we do well in the AFCON, we qualify for the AFCON, we do well in the AFCON. We have a team of players that are hungry to succeed. It will be much possible for us to qualify for the World Cup. But all that is important is the understanding that has to be there between the players and the coach, and have that understanding of saying, this is South Africa and this is how best we can play for our country. Yeah, I think to become a coach, whether you're coaching at a lower level or a higher level, your head will always be on the block. And what happened with me joining SAFA in 2014, becoming head coach of an under-17, I had my own fears to say, if I don't qualify for the World Cup, it means I would have failed as a coach. But if you get into a coaching position, all that is important is belief and faith in yourself, to say things will turn out positive. And I think it is the same approach that I have with Bafana Bafana, to say nobody knew about who Molefi Ntseki was, but Molefi Ntseki had to work hard to be where he is today. Even as of now, those who don't know much about him, or they have got their doubts about him leading Bafana Bafana into the future with the green color, I hope they will sit back and watch and be able to say, others came before him, but he's here for us to support him. And that's all that I'm saying about this position. And I always say, you don't come out to be a good coach unless you have got good players that makes you look good. And you don't become a good player on your own unless you have got coach or coaches that have helped you along your journey as a footballer to be good. So you guys, the media, my family, SAFA, and everybody, if we are all positive, they will all make me look good, and we will succeed.